Welcome back, friends and scoundrels. We're doing Adventure Log Session 10. Finishing up, where were we at? Wyvern Tor / Whiskers in the Dark. And getting started on Willorin's Tower. Interesting session. Started off, introduced the home rule for the casters that they can sacrifice one hit die on a short rest to regain spell levels.
Spell slots up to half their caster level.
That's right. We also introduced a new player and character. He's been a lot of inspiration for a lot of our more recent videos. He is playing a half-orc Eldritch Knight because he's coming in at level 4. He is, his name is Grell. I forget the last name.
I don't know, because he never
No, not Grell. Gel.
Never introduced himself to my character, so I don't know who he is.
Which set up an interesting. You guys were in a long rest, short rest. You guys were in a short rest, and as you were finishing up, he comes into the cave.
Yes, because his character was solo questing to the same place we were questing.
Yep. Which was my method of bringing him in. Was a place for me to use something from the Lost Mines of Phandelver campaign, one of the random side quest things that are an option where they try to make it sandboxy.
I think it's a pretty good way to bring in a character.
It was a lot better than the other one.
Because it makes sense too. We're not the only adventurers out there.
Yeah. But he's from, I forget where he's from, just like way east where we're at. And he just traveling from place to place, picking up jobs and doing things, escort or whatever got him traveling around was kind of his background that him and I had worked out. And he was sent by, I forget his name, from Phandalin, but the town master sent out by him, because again that's one of the side quests, to deal with the orc problem, because there's some people who traveled through and got attacked by some orcs, so he wants to squash that problem before it gets anywhere. But we also had Frank, who was absent the previous session.
Yes, he came back because he was following behind us after his personal mini quest to find a companion.
Yeah, he went out that night to find a wolf companion.
A wolf named Gur.
And I actually incorporated his backstory a little bit, that it was one of his pack brothers that I guess came out searching for him, because he rolled his percentile, was like, what, a 70 or an 80 or something. It was pretty high. Like, okay, I'll give that to you. I was already planning on doing that if he was successful anyways. But Gil comes in. You heard him because you have the highest? Or
no.
You were the closest or whatever?
Zip heard it because he's got the highest passive. Heard him rummaging around in the chamber that we had just come from. The entrance chamber.
Where all the dead orcs and the ogre were. So you were the first one to go out there, though. She who cannot see.
Yes. Yes, without my dark vision and standing in the narrow crevice going back to it, I ended up blocking my own light spell that was cast behind me, so I saw nothing.
Yeah. So then Yados comes out. Or Frank came in behind after that.
Yes.
And he sees this dude and notches an arrow and draws on him, because he's a half-orc and he kind of looks like all the things that you just got done fighting. And that was actually a pretty decent roleplay session.
Yes.
You and I have talked a little bit outside of this and since the game that we think he's a pretty good addition to the game. I think he's really going to help the roleplay aspect from the player's standpoint a little bit. Because, you know, kind of forced a couple people to get a little bit more involved, and where, not to say that they don't get involved, but...
Yeah, so it opened up a roleplay opportunity. it helped evolve Leia's backstory a little bit because he is or was working for.
He's working for a mercenary group called the Chill, and you rolled moderately high,
I rolled extreme.
and Yados, Matt's character, rolled pretty high. Zip rolled low. Yeah, he was a 4.
On our knowledge of what the Chill was.
Yeah. So, and we didn't have Frank roll at all because being raised by wolves, it wouldn't matter. So, story-wise, it would make sense.
It makes sense for Leia to know who they were because she does have a criminal background, so I made it that she knows who they were because they came.
They'd hunted you a couple of times, your
Yes,
family a couple of times.
They came after my family a couple of times.
So, for you, they're kind of bad guys from your perspective.
Yes. So I am very untrusting still, leery still of this guy, even though other members of the party have been all like, well, he's not attacking us, so.
There was never an official, would you like to join us or anything, or hey, we don't trust you right now, but we're not going to let you out of our sight or anything. It's just kind of, everybody just marched off. But back to the Chill thing. So Matt's character again rolled high, Yados. He'd heard of the Chill. He has a different perspective though, that they take on more noble jobs. They don't take just any jobs. They do things to help the kingdoms, and it makes sense a little bit for his character to have heard from him because he's traveled around a little bit with his background, trying to get away from something. And Zip had heard of them, the Chill, but he thought they were just talking about, like the people talking about it, he thought they were just talking about cold weather. He wasn't very much help there. But we had 2 people who kind of knew. And then, we just kind of like we said, everybody's just like, alright, I guess we're doing this. And go in. Gal's having a fun time teasing you.
Yes, because my character Leia doesn't trust him, and she's kind of very leery of him, so she won't let him be behind her. She won't turn her back on him. So she keeps making him go first places.
Makes sense.
It does make sense. And then later when I cast spells that benefit the party, I don't include him in that.
Yeah, which makes sense.
It does.
So yeah, then we go down the hallway, and there was supposed to be a gelatinous cube trap where there's a pit. So again, this is running off of whiskers in the dark. I opted not to do that. It didn't fit as far as what I was setting up in the story that I'm developing with it, because there's a little pit back here and it comes out, and if somebody falls in the pit, it goes in there and eats them. So instead of that, I opted for 3 glyphs of warding with magic missiles. So the first one just shot 1 missile. The second one, they're spaced out about every 10 feet. The second one shot 2 missiles, and then the third one shot all 3 missiles. I didn't develop this when I first came up with this plan, but after watching a bunch of videos and some backlogs on traps and stuff, I tried to include some hints that, hey, there's something that's going to shoot at you or something. And so Yados had noticed some scorch marks while you were doing your short rest. He's just kind of looking around, not actually investigating, just kind of seeing, and Adam noticed that there are these magical scorch marks or whatever. Then the walls are just lined with all kinds of different arcane markings, so that way the glyphs were hidden in it.
To try and disguise them.
Yeah. And And then on the spot, I decided to have them start glowing as you approach them, just real faintly, as a, hey, you're about to come up on something, because apparently that's the thing you're supposed to do. But, you know, is DC 10 in the first dex saving throw, and then I think I went to like a 13 and a 15. And I probably should have had him go at disadvantage, since Zip took bear form and just marched.
Because it was a narrow hallway?
Yeah.
He was a big bear?
Only a 10-foot wide hallway, so bears are automatically 10 foot for their creature size. But
yes, everyone else just huddled behind the bear butt and just used
Yep.
him as a shield.
And then we got up to the hallway, you're tossing your light down and stuff. And then we get into the main room. Again, it's, you know, tall ceiling. Notice this big ball-shaped thing at the top. Some of the glyphs lit up so that way people could see. And there's a portal at the end of the room. And I used the trigger for my creatures to come out for the encounter. And this was one of my mess ups as a DM. I really like Hanker Inferno from Runehammer Games. I like his timer, threat, and treat method. But I think this is a time where I got a little caught up in the timer thing. So I had a spectator, was supposed to be the main one, and then I had included some gazers to keep Frank distracted, and that was one of my things to keep it, to help make it much more, or a bit more challenging. But I rolled my timer die, D4. It was only one round, but you guys killed the spectator in the first round, so
We did.
it kind of, it was a little disappointing.
It was a little bit disappointing. I did expect it to be harder. As a DM, the choice I would have made is I wouldn't have waited till the end of the round because it was designed to be more challenging. And when it started to look that it wasn't being that challenging, I would have dropped the gazers in the middle of the round because you can do that.
You can. But I had already established the role, and the other thing, I should have bumped his HP up. Even with the inclusion of the gazers, it still could have been maxed out. I think it's around 60 for a spectator. So I could have maxed out his HP because there's nothing saying that you have to use the average.
Right.
And you guys are starting to actually get some good hits and do some stuff now. Except for Gel. He's apparently useless as Sildar.
It's really helping support my lack of trust in him is the fact that he's not actually doing anything.
Yeah. So that one went a lot quicker than I wanted it to. So good lesson here from a new DM point is kind of know what's going on, and the inclusion of a new player again. Well, not again.
It's just be prepared more to act in the moment, and when you see it's going easier than it should be, because the fight should be challenging for us, not just as a DM picking on the players kind of thing, but to make it more fun.
Yeah.
It was too easy to the point where it wasn't really fun. There was no intensity to it.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I would have just in the middle of the round dropped in the gazers.
And I could have in the middle of it too. I thought about maxing out the HP, but I went brain dead for a minute and didn't think I had the book. No, because I had to look up anyways. Because I had to look up the range for the eye stalks. And I mean, we started off pretty good. Zip and Bear Form got hit with the paralyzing eye beam, and
yeah, it started off looking like it was going to be good, but then we just wailed on him.
yeah, but then everybody got a turn, and it just went south real quick for me.
Yes.
And mind you, what I'm hyping up is actually what's coming up for the next session or two. So, I don't know, that kind of maybe didn't help everybody else out a little bit. But it was. The Gazers were supposed to come down and torment Frank, and he was supposed to be distracted shooting them because I was going to keep them up higher where you guys couldn't attack them, and I could have brought the Gazer back up a little bit, and I could have done a lot more stuff, but being new, and I kept getting distracted, so I didn't have an opportunity to go through the monsters again and reacquaint myself with them from when I first looked through it.
And of course, your major failing is your tendency to get caught up
in the moment.
And it kind of puts blinders on you in a way.
Yeah.
So
I do get tunnel visioned a lot in the moment, like especially if it's really moving faster or going pretty decently. But finished him off. There's a portal at the end. Went through the portal, which brings us into Wyvern Tower, which is an inclusion from the Dungeon Crate boxes that, gives me an opportunity to use these things. Now, mind you, I'm changing this up quite a bit from what Wyvern Tower is supposed to be.
because you're essentially just using the map.
That's what it's turned into now, yeah. When I was first looking at it, including it, I had different story elements to it. I was going to try to include its story a little bit better, but the more I looked through it and the more I rewrote mine and looked to the future, it didn't really fit. I do have one or two decent surprises coming up here with it, but like I said, that'll be the next session or two. But we really just got into the first level of it, which is where we include the closets. And that one was another, I expected it to be disappointing, but it was another kind of disappointing encounter. Just because...
I mean, it is kind of just slowly drawing out our resources, arrows and potentially spell slots. I mean, I only cantrip them, so...
Yeah. And it's another instance of, had I looked through, that encounter could have gone a little bit differently. I don't think they match with what their challenge rating is. And if you'd like to see more on that, click on the video somewhere. The info icon, because we've got a video out for that. To see what our thoughts are more directly on the closets. Because that didn't have as much to do with my gaming, I don't think. I don't think they match what their challenge rating is.
Yeah, and after that was the end of the session. We just were Leroy Jenkinsing up the stairs and...
Went up the stairs, I had another glyph of warding, but we kind of already decided that we were quitting, so that was just kind of like, and I was already not in a bad mood or anything. I was starting to get frustrated with myself because of the poor decisions I was making, so I suppose that's a little bit of progress, is that I recognize those and I know what to work on for the next time.
So it kind of worked out that it was time to end the session then.
Yeah.
So that you had a chance to... Stupid cat. Regroup.
I do kind of wish I'd have cliffhangered a little bit better. Because you guys got up the stairs, the firebolt missed Frank, and I introduced the room, but I should have introduced the goblin with it. Because there's supposed to be a goblin sitting in one of the corners.
Yeah.
And I thought about that like a couple days ago afterwards. I should have cliffhangered it a little bit better so that way you know that there's something coming for sure.
Well, I know now because I've watched this video.
But yeah, do you have anything else?
I do not.
And talking to the players, their biggest thing was really how that first encounter went. And there's such great setup for a good game too. Overall, I still don't think it was terribly bad.
No. There's good role playing. It did drain our resources a little bit, even though both the fights were easy.
Yeah.
Because Frank is now out an explosive arrow, I'm down a spell slot, so it is a little bit of a drain on our resources.
That was one of the big things with the spectators. Frank used his boomsticks. And that was like 20 damage right off the bat, so that was almost half of what the average is. So at that point I should have been like, alright, maybe I should bump this up a little bit.
You should have.
Because at the very least, even if you guys had gotten him down to like half hit points.
Even in the real rounds, because this is how I would have done it, is when the arrow hits him and it explodes, and as the smoke clears, you notice the 4 new gazers and just slip them into the initiative.
Yeah, because I think I'd already rolled them up anyway, so I was just skipping them at that point. So overall, I prepped relatively decently. I was prepared probably a little too far in advance, and I knew that I needed to look over the creatures. It just, my schedule that week before, I was working 3 to midnights, and the times I wanted to go back through the Volos and the monster manual, I kept getting distracted or something else came up or whatever, and I just didn't find the opportunity. And then we were going to Matt's early that day to knock some rust off with the War Machine stuff, so I didn't have much of a chance that morning, because it was like, get up, eat breakfast, and go. So that was session 10. Yeah, so like, comment, subscribe, share it around, turn on the notifications, and until next time.
Live to roll.